Everything you thought you knew about Lucifer was a lie. But why? His name is feared across centuries, his legend shrouded in deception. Was Lucifer truly the great betrayer? Was Lucifer misunderstood? Or has history twisted his story beyond recognition? What if the real story, buried in ancient texts, reveals a truth so dangerous it's been hidden for centuries? We will expose why Lucifer fell and what it means for us. It's a story of the one who was removed from the higher realms. But what if the tale is not as simple as we've been told? What if the truth behind his descent has been lost in translation? Legends say he was the brightest of all, the most beloved among celestial beings. Yet he fell from grace, exiled from the heavens, fated to roam the unseen realms. But was he a traitor or merely a force of change? Even now, his name lingers in whispers, his presence woven into the very fabric of human belief. Some say he is the embodiment of defiance, a symbol of free will. Others claim he is the eternal adversary, an instigator of disruption. But who is Lucifer? And more importantly, does his influence truly remain in the shadows? Before you decide, listen closely. History is written by those who remain. But legends never fade. His legend has been shaped by religious texts, twisted by time, and misunderstood by many. But what if we've been told only fragments of the truth? What if the biblical Lucifer was not just a figure of rebellion, but a far more complex entity, misinterpreted through time? Tonight, we unravel the forgotten origins of Lucifer, exploring the ancient texts, the hidden meanings, and the truth that many fear to face. Before you judge his story, ask yourself, do you truly know who Lucifer is? Or have you only heard the version they want you to believe? Let us begin. Who was Lucifer before the fall? Across cultures and faiths, his name appears with different meanings. Some call him a fallen angel. Others see him as a misunderstood figure, a symbol of knowledge and resistance. Is he the adversary of humankind? Or was he destined to play a role greater than we ever imagined? Many seek the full story of Lucifer in the Bible, yet Scripture provides only fragmented glimpses. What if these pieces reveal a narrative more intricate than we were led to believe? In the beginning, there was light, a radiant being. The most magnificent of all creations stood in the celestial realm, adorned in brilliance and wisdom beyond mortal comprehension. But light does not always remain pure. Shadows form where ambition and defiance take root. Lucifer, the name alone stirs unease, conjuring images of challenge, downfall, and the great unknown. The Lucifer Bible story is one of ambition, defiance, and an eternal question of destiny. But was his fall truly a punishment, or something predestined? Before his fall from grace, before he became the adversary of heaven, he was something else entirely, something glorious. Lucifer, meaning light bringer, was one of the highest ranking beings. Described in ancient texts as the morning star, he was said to be the most radiant of all the angels, a being of unmatched beauty and wisdom. Many believe he was a seraph or a cherub, a high celestial being standing at the throne of the divine, singing the first hymns of creation. He was not merely another angel. He was unique, fashioned with power and knowledge beyond human comprehension. Some religious interpretations suggest he was responsible for overseeing the balance of divine law, ensuring order across the celestial realms. Others claim he was entrusted with secrets of the universe, knowledge forbidden to lesser beings. But here's the twist. Those secrets might explain why he dared to defy heaven itself. But beneath his brilliance, a question lingered. Why should one be bound to serve when they could rule? Some say pride crept into his heart. Others suggest he simply saw the world differently, questioning the authority of the divine. Was Lucifer's fate truly an act of rebellion? Or was he fulfilling a role written long before time itself? Was he a rebel or a pawn? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. One thing remains certain. His fall changed the course of history forever, and in its wake, a celestial uprising unlike any other erupted in the heavens. The stars dimmed, the heavens split, and in that moment, rebellion became destiny. But how does a star go from illuminating the heavens to tearing them apart? The war in heaven wasn't just a battle. It was the beginning of something far greater. The War in Heaven. The Lucifer War in Heaven story is one of cosmic rebellion, where the greatest of angels dared to challenge the throne of divinity, setting in motion a battle that shook creation itself. It began with a whisper, a single thought in the mind of an angel too brilliant to remain in the shadows. That whisper became a storm, and soon the heavens themselves trembled. Lucifer's vision clashed with the will of heaven, which turned into conflict. Imagine a war so vast it tore the heavens apart. Angels like you've never seen, clashing in a storm of light and fury, all because one dared to dream beyond his place. The heavens shook as the blade of divine energy struck with a force that split the sky. At the heart of this conflict stood two towering figures, Lucifer, the rebel, and Michael, the warrior. Michael, the archangel of justice, was chosen to lead the forces of heaven against the uprising. In some versions of the story, it was not merely a battle of strength, but of conviction. Lucifer questioned the very nature of obedience, while Michael stood as the sword of divine will. Who is like God? Michael's battle cry echoed across the heavens. It was both a challenge and a warning. For a moment, it seemed Lucifer's forces would triumph. The morning star, after all, was a being of immense power, and those who followed him were among the most radiant of the celestial hosts. But in the end, his rebellion was destined for defeat. One by one, his allies fell from grace, cast out of the higher realms, their brilliance dimmed, their voices silenced. And then, in the final moment of battle, Lucifer himself was overcome. Some say Lucifer's radiance was dimmed in the final battle by Michael. Others claim he was simply commanded out of existence, exiled beyond the reach of light. But what happened to Lucifer in the Bible? Was he cast into hell, as tradition suggests? Or was his exile something more mysterious and profound? From the highest heaven, Lucifer fell down into the unknown realm. But was he cast out as a punishment? Or was this his destiny all along? For even in exile, Lucifer's story was far from over. What do you think? Share your thoughts below. But remember, knowledge comes at a cost. Are you obsessed with history's darkest secrets and the forbidden tales religion tried to erase? Dive with us into the hidden truths, lost legends, and mysteries buried by time. Subscribe now. This is just the beginning. We have so many stories to tell. The many names of Lucifer after the fall. Lucifer Christianity traditions paint him as the ultimate adversary, but interpretations differ even within Christian sects. Some view him as a deceiver, others as a tragic figure of lost glory. Exiled from heaven, Lucifer didn't vanish. He transformed, his name echoing across religions and civilizations as a legend too vast to contain. While many recognize him from Christian and Jewish traditions, his presence is echoed in Islam, Gnosticism, and even ancient mythologies. Across time, different cultures have given him new identities, roles, and meanings. Some feared him as a cosmic adversary, while others saw him as a symbol of knowledge and defiance. But how did this one being become so deeply woven into the spiritual and mythological history of humanity? Lucifer's defiance had shaken the heavens, and his fall from grace marked a turning point in celestial history. But as he fell from the higher realms, something else also began to change. His identity, Lucifer's name. Across centuries, civilizations, and faiths, the celestial figure has been known by many names, each carrying its own meaning, its own legend. But why so many? Does each name reveal a different side of the same enigmatic being? One of the greatest theological debates revolves around the difference between Satan and Lucifer. Are they the same being, or is there a distinction between their roles in scripture and myth? Has history blurred the truth? But what was Lucifer's real name before the fall? In ancient Hebrew texts, he was called Helel ben Shahar, meaning shining one, son of the morning. To the Romans, he was Lucifer, the light bringer, a symbol of the morning star that once ruled the dawn. The name Lucifer comes from Latin, meaning light bringer or morning star. It originally referred to Venus, the brightest planet in the sky before dawn. But after his descent, the names changed, his identity twisted over time. In Christian tradition, he became Satan, the adversary. But that wasn't Lucifer's real name, because in older Jewish texts, Satan wasn't a name at all. It was a title, meaning the accuser, a celestial being tasked with testing mankind. Lucifer versus Satan, explained clearly, reveals that the two figures were not originally the same. This merging of identities brings us to a larger question. What is the difference between Satan, Lucifer, and the devil? Were these names always referring to the same figure, or did history blend their identities into one? It wasn't until later Christian writings that Satan evolved into an ancient sovereign of the underworld, with Lucifer's identity merged into his own. Medieval art, literature, and folklore shaped the image of the fallen angel, twisting two figures into one. So now people ask, was Lucifer merely one of many who bore this title, or did he truly transform into the enemy of creation? The answer might lie in a single verse, and it's not what you expect. But to understand Lucifer's real story in the Bible, we must separate theological interpretations from direct scripture. Could his identity have been misrepresented over time? The only biblical mention of Lucifer is in Isaiah 14:12, where a fallen figure is compared to a star cast from the heavens. But was this passage really about the devil? Some scholars argue that Isaiah wasn't speaking about a rebellious angel, but an arrogant Babylonian king whose empire fell like a dying star. The name Lucifer may have been mistakenly linked to Satan centuries later. Lucifer's story is not confined to Christianity or ancient Roman mythology alone. Across different cultures and religions, his name, identity, and purpose take on vastly different meanings. Beyond Christianity, there are many interpretations of Lucifer in different religions. His identity shifts from a fallen angel to a divine challenger, a tempter, or even a misunderstood being of wisdom. Some lesser-known traditions even link him to the role of a Lucifer angel of death, a being not of destruction, but of transformation, guiding souls through the transition between realms. In Islam, he is known as Iblis, a jinn who refused to bow before Adam, the first human. Unlike angels, who are created from light and are bound to obey, jinn are beings of smokeless fire, possessing free will. Some interpretations suggest that Iblis was never an angel, but always a jinn, which explains his ability to disobey. As punishment for his defiance, he was cast out, not to rule a kingdom of unrest, but to wander the earth, whispering doubt and temptation into the hearts of humankind. In Gnosticism, Lucifer was seen as a bringer of knowledge, a figure akin to Prometheus, who gave fire to humanity. Some sects viewed his fall as an act of resistance against an unyielding order, rather than outright malevolence. Hinduism and Buddhism do not have a direct counterpart to Lucifer, but they do speak of celestial beings who fall due to pride or attachment to power. In some interpretations, Mara, a demon of illusion, serves a role similar to that of a great tempter. Across different cultures, he has been called Shaitan, Melek Taus, Samael, and many more. Some say he is an architect of collapse, others a liberator. To some, he is the first fallen, to others, the bringer of forbidden knowledge. But with so many names, one question remains. Who was he, truly? If so many cultures recognize a figure like Lucifer, could his legend be based on something more than myth? The morning star, or the fallen light. Some early Christian traditions viewed Lucifer not as a villain, but as a necessary force, a being who played a crucial role in shaping the world as we know it. Among these were the Bogomils and Cathars, two medieval Christian movements that believed in a stark duality of existence. A battle not between good and evil, but between spirit and matter. To them, the physical world, filled with suffering, decay, and corruption, was not created by the true God, but by a lesser, imperfect force. And that force, in their interpretation, was Lucifer. Unlike the traditional Christian belief that God created the heavens and the earth, the Cathars and Bogomils argued that Lucifer was responsible for crafting the material world, a flawed, temporary prison that trapped divine souls in human bodies. This perspective completely rewrote the Lucifer Bible story. Instead of being a mere fallen angel exiled for his pride, Lucifer was seen as a divine architect, shaping a world where souls could undergo trials, learn, and seek redemption. His fall was not a punishment, but a deliberate descent, a sacrifice made so that human beings could experience life, learn of their imprisonment, and eventually seek spiritual liberation. They saw figures like Jesus not as the son of the Old Testament God, but as a messenger of a higher, unknowable divine force. one who came to show humanity the path to liberation from the material world. This radical belief led to their suppression by the Catholic Church, culminating in the Albigensian Crusade, where tens of thousands of Cathars were lost to time in the 13th century. If they were right, Lucifer didn't just fall, he built the world you're living in. It would mean that Lucifer was not an enemy of humanity, but its designer. So who's really pulling the strings? If that's the case, then what was the real reason for his fall? Was he cast down, or did he willingly descend? And if he created the world, then who has really been in control all along? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Lucifer and humanity in modern culture. Lucifer, the name itself carries an air of mystery. Even now, he is whispered about in shadowed halls as a figure of fear, rebellion, and a bringer of forbidden knowledge. But today, his image has transformed. No longer just a chilling entity cast from heaven, Lucifer has evolved into a complex cultural icon. Lucifer's influence in modern culture is undeniable, shaping everything from Hollywood's portrayal of him as a charming anti-hero to his presence in music, literature, and even philosophy. From books and films to music and television, he appears in countless forms. Sometimes, he is the ultimate villain, an embodiment of manipulation and collapse. Other times, he is portrayed as a misunderstood anti-hero, challenging authority and offering humanity knowledge it was never meant to possess. But why has the modern world embraced the fallen angel? What does it say about us? In literature, John Milton's 1667 epic Paradise Lost turned him into one of the most compelling characters in history. A tragic rebel, driven by ambition and a thirst for freedom. His famous words, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven," have echoed through time, shaping the way people view defiance and power. To some, he became a symbol of independence. To others, an unsettling force lurking beneath ambition. But it wasn't just poetry that reshaped his legend. Over the centuries, philosophers, writers, and even secret societies began reinterpreting Lucifer not as a villain, but as a symbol of enlightenment. The 18th and 19th centuries saw occult movements embrace his story, linking him to hidden wisdom, the pursuit of knowledge, and even personal liberation. This transformation continued into modern media. Hollywood in particular has played a key role in changing the perception of him. He appears as a charming figure in TV shows like Lucifer, a witty detective solving crimes while battling his own nature. In films like The Devil's Advocate and Constantine, he is seductive, calculating and ever-present, lurking in the background of society's most powerful institutions. But what if Hollywood's version is closer to the truth than we think? You'll see why in a moment. But modern culture didn't just humanize him, it made him appealing. Music, fashion, and even branding have embraced his image. Rock and metal bands have long used Luciferian imagery, from the Rolling Stones' sympathy for the devil to Black Sabbath's ominous riffs. But beyond music, his influence has stretched even further. Luxury brands have subtly used Lucifer's associations with rebellion and exclusivity, crafting logos and marketing campaigns that hint at forbidden power. Video games depict him not as a grotesque monster, but as a suave mastermind, orchestrating events from the shadows. And in the world of art, his image has evolved from a terrifying beast to a strikingly human figure, one that embodies the eternal struggle between order and chaos. Yet, despite this mainstream presence, his story remains unsettling. Why does humanity continue to be drawn to Lucifer? Where does this fascination come from? Is it fascination with the unknown, a subconscious attraction to rebellion, or something deeper, something woven into the fabric of human history? Perhaps it's because Lucifer represents something deeply human, a desire to break free from authority, to question everything, to seek knowledge, even when warned not to. His story is the story of every outcast, every dreamer, every revolutionary who refused to obey. But here's the unsettling part. While many see Lucifer as a metaphor, there are those who believe his presence is not just in art, but a god. Some claim that his ideals, self-worship, personal empowerment, and the rejection of divine authority are subtly woven into modern philosophy and movements. And the most unsettling question is this: if Lucifer were to walk among us today, would we even recognize him? Or has his image become so deeply ingrained in our culture that we've already welcomed him without realizing it? What do you think? Is Lucifer just a story, a metaphor for power and ambition? Or is he a god? Or does his influence still linger in ways we don't fully understand? Let us know in the comments below. The real hidden truth about Lucifer. Over time, Lucifer has been depicted as the great deceiver, the adversary of mankind. But in one of the oldest books of the Bible, the Book of Job, his role is far more complex and far more thought-provoking. He does not appear as a chaotic force acting against divine order. Instead, he walks among the divine council, speaking directly with God, not as an outcast, but as a permitted presence. And this raises an important question. Was Lucifer misunderstood all along? If he were truly an enemy, why would he be granted such access? Why would he be allowed to question humanity's faith rather than simply oppose it? Lucifer does not appear as the embodiment of pure chaos, but rather as a challenger, a figure who tests the faith of humanity, questioning their devotion rather than outright corrupting them. This is where the mystery deepens. Lucifer does not impose decisions. He presents choices. He does not break the rules. He merely introduces doubt, prompting individuals to consider paths they might not have otherwise explored. In the Book of Job, a righteous man is tested in a cosmic wager. He is a devoted servant of the divine, blessed with wealth, health, and family. But Lucifer, or more accurately, Satan, as written in the original text, challenges Job's faith. He does not cause hardship himself, but instead raises a challenge, questioning Job's loyalty and suggesting a trial to test his devotion, to know if Job is truly faithful or simply obedient because of his good fortune. With permission from the divine, Job's life is stripped away, piece by piece, his wealth, his health, his loved ones, all to see if his faith remains unshaken. Lucifer does not compel, he influences. He introduces ideas, poses questions, and allows free will to dictate the outcome. Throughout history, people have described moments of inner conflict, where their own ambitions, desires, or uncertainties lead them toward difficult choices. Often, these decisions are attributed to an external influence, But the truth remains. The final choice always belongs to the individual. Perhaps that is the most unsettling idea of all. Lucifer is not the one who acts. He is the one who suggests. He is the quiet voice of curiosity, the shadow of hesitation, the lingering question in the mind, a force of deception, or simply a symbol of the human struggle between desire and discipline. So, is Lucifer truly a force of opposition, or is he the final test of human nature? When faced with a moral dilemma, is it truly an external force influencing our actions, or was the decision already within us? A legend never dies. Lucifer's story has endured for thousands of years, evolving, shifting, and adapting to each new era. From a celestial being cast down in rebellion to a symbol of forbidden knowledge, his legend refuses to fade. But perhaps that is because his story is not just about him. It is about us. Throughout history, every civilization has grappled with the idea of temptation, defiance, and the search for truth. Is Lucifer the ultimate adversary, leading humanity astray? Or is he the eternal question, forcing us to confront our own weaknesses and desires? Even today, his name echoes in philosophy, literature, art, and pop culture. He appears in films, television, and music, not always as a villain, but sometimes as a tragic figure, a misunderstood force, or even a symbol of human ambition. Whether feared or admired, his presence lingers, weaving through the fabric of history and myth. But the most unsettling thought of all, legends do not survive unless they hold power. They do not endure unless they still have something to teach. So, what is Lucifer's true legacy? Who is Lucifer in the Bible? Is he the deceiver or the great liberator? The disruptor or the teacher? Maybe the truth has never been about Lucifer himself. Maybe it has always been about those who choose to seek the answers. What do you believe? Let us know in the comments below, but be careful what you seek. Some questions were never meant to be answered. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries of Lucifer, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another dark story. More hidden truths and forgotten legends await. Will you dare to uncover them? Also, be sure to check our Dark History playlist for more stories based on historical facts and legends. Good night.